Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Straight flush on my first hand and a limped pot. Okay. If you say so. If you insist, then I will oblige, for sure. I guess we play it how they expect us to play it, right? Just by calling here. I mean, I might put in a raise just in case he has a flush. Not flush, right? I mean, if he has a nut flush, then I don't want the board to pair on the river like it did. So by me raising the turn, like he can raise. He had the king high flush, unfortunately. So if he had the ace high flush, he probably raises. So we may have lost. Well, we didn't lose any value because we had the king high flush, but it's unfortunate he didn't have the ace high flush, right? Okay, so we're just gonna play. I think I have to just get it in here, right? What have we got? Gut shot and a 9 high flush draw and 2 overcards, and he's got how much in his stack? Like 10. So SPR. I think I can actually fold here. Yeah, I think I can maybe fold, right? I expect we have like 40% equity, right? I think this is a fold. I'd be interested to know 2 of diamonds on 10. I'd be interested to know about that, but obviously with the king high flush draw or ace high flush draw, we're never folding that. Like, either our 9 high flush draw isn't good, or it's very hard to be getting in ahead in that situation. We'll just jam the turn. We've got top and middle pair, but I'm happy with that, obviously. So I've been going through a downswing recently. It's kind of been the first downswing I've had at playing heads up. So I can't really complain. I'm trying to get it in here. 2 pairs. Like, I can't really complain about that because I haven't actually had a downswing yet. I've been playing heads up PLO for like, I don't know, 4 months maybe, like properly. And I haven't had like a bad downswing, so I can't complain too much, right? So I lost like 30 or 40 buy-ins, but last night I played heads up against someone and they pretty much gave me like 15 buy-ins. So that certainly helped claw it back. We'll just call again and we'll just lead the river here. I don't expect to get value if he doesn't have a flush. So, and on this table we have blockers on the river, so let's go for it. I mean, we may be winning. I don't expect him to hold it. Yeah, I don't expect him to fold a hand like King Jack, I was going to say, or King 10. Even though, like, I'm repping the straight, but it's. I do expect him to fold a Bear King, obviously. So interesting that he doesn't fold, but it's not too unreasonable as it was a backdoor straight that came in. And on this flop, we raised, he check raised on the flop, and we're just going to get it in here. Bottom pair, wrap on a flush draw. See what he's got. A set. We kind of block all the pairs though, because he's got 9, 9, 7. Another straight flush, unbelievable. We're in great shape there, because he's got 9, 9, 7, and we've got the deuce. So I'm going to say we're a rather large favourite there. Yep, 62.3%. 2 straight flushes in 5 minutes. Seems to be the end of my downswing. I'll just keep focused on this table then for the moment until somebody else comes back on the heads up table there. Yeah, so I'd probably use this opportunity to talk about downswings, how I manage them, what I do, and, you know, to give me an edge. Well, basically, downswings suck, and like, there's no two ways about it. They are shit for everyone, and everyone has them, no matter how good you are, right? But it's just how you deal with them. And I'm not going to say I never tilt, right? Because I tilt. I don't tilt as much as other people, but I do tilt, right? Some players tilt a lot more. But there's things you can do to stop your tilt and, you know, increase your win rate and, you know, decrease the length of your downswing and stuff. So the first thing that I would say to anyone that's playing PLO or poker in general is to invest in this program called Tilt Breaker, and like, it's the best thing that I use, and it stops me going on tilt, right? So I think it's like $50 for like lifetime or something like that, or $80, can't remember, but I bought it years ago. But it's really good because currently I have it to, if I lose 3 buy-ins from my peak, then it stops me from playing, so it shuts down all my tables. Like, it gives me a minute to finish my hands, but you can change that anyway. So it gives me a minute to finish my hands, and then I can't play for like half an hour, but obviously you can change that as well, so you can change it to like 2 hours or whatever. I used to have it changed for like 2 hours, but I thought that was actually too long, because all I need to do is, like, when I can feel myself going on tilt, is just to literally get up off the table, go for, you know, go for a workout or something, you know what I mean? Walk my dog, just do something else for a little bit. I don't need to have like hours away from the tables. I think this is full of shit here. I was going to raise him. Obviously, if he jams on us, we have to fold, but I think he's just full of shit in this situation. Yeah. I mean, they just always have it, right? They just always have it. Although he is playing like 81% of his hands, so I don't know. I don't know if this is heads up stats though. It might be heads up stats. That's the only thing. Keep an eye on him anyway. But anyway, we're playing deep against this guy. This is like a deep table, 10 cent, 20 cent deep table. So you got to make moves on him, you know. I mean, we had the 6 blocker, we had a pair, and we had a flush draw, and if he just calls there, we can jam the river, and like, he's gonna have to fold. But I just think it's an unlikely hand for him to have. So yeah, you got to make moves. But yeah, getting back to the tilt breaker. So yeah, it kicks me up for half an hour. You know, I keep myself busy, do a workout and shit, come back strong, and it stops me losing more than 3 buy-ins in one go. Obviously, you can change it to like 5 buy-ins, 10 buy-ins, different periods. But for me, I found that it helps to stop the tilt before it's even happened. I'm probably a bit too strict with it, but I think 4 buy-ins from your peak is quite good, because that gives you a chance to like beat up, you know, it gives you a chance to like win a few buy-ins, and then once you start losing from that point, you start to tilt, it stops you from playing. You can still show a profit in that session, because you won 6 buy-ins, then you lost 4 like in 5 minutes or whatever, and then you feel yourself going on tilt. Well, now it's locked you out of the games, and you actually ended up winning 2 buy-ins instead of losing another 10 buy-ins because you're like on monkey tilt, right? So I recommend anybody to get that game, not that game, that app, the Tilt Breaker app. Literally, especially if you're playing heads up PLO. And the other thing as well is, PLO is like such a swingy game, right? It's like such a swingy game that, especially if you're playing heads up PLO like I am at the moment, right? I'm just still waiting for someone on this table. But if you're playing heads up PLO, tilt is going to be like so common in people. So when you've got a tilt breaker, you're literally decreasing the time, well, you're eliminating any time that you're playing on tilt, right? And you're increasing, obviously, you're just going to be playing against opponents that are going to be on tilt more often. and you're never going to be on tilt. So your win rate already, just by having that app, is going up massively. Especially if you're prone to tilt, like yourself a lot. It's going to save you so much money. You want to be eliminating your tilt and playing against people that are on tilt, right? You want to be just winding them up and getting under their skin, you know. Like, I don't care if I'm playing heads up, right? Like, and someone's tilting, and like, you know, I've just got the top of my range, and I think the hand is strong. I might slow roll them, man. I don't care. If I think it's going to make them tilt, right, I'm going to slow roll them. It's going to make them tilt even more, and I'm going to win even more money. Like, I've got no shame in just slow rolling them, right? I mean, until the hands are showed down, like, you just never expect to be winning anyway. Like, you know, you just wait until the hands are... Never think you got it in the bag, right? So yeah, I use the tilt breaker, right? That stops me having... I think that stops me having bigger downswings than I would otherwise. That's probably why I haven't had really big downswings since I've been playing heads up PLO. The other thing is, like, read a lot of the books. So we've got some heads up action here, which is what I like. So yeah, another thing is to read a lot of these books that deal with the mind game. Not strategy books on how you play, but strategy on how you think and how you deal with the situations and the downswings and how you stay motivated. Those books are really good. So I read like Tommy Angelo's one. Elliot Rowe's got a few podcasts and stuff. I think you've got might have some books as well. I'm not sure about the books, and then I can't remember the other one. I got it on my iPad, but can't remember the name of it. But yeah, that one's really good. And talks about like this concept called inchworm, where it's like, you know, worms move like this, right? So their back comes like that. So that's basically making your worst game better, like your worst game, instead of trying to improve. Hope you like my demonstration there. Instead of trying to improve your A game, like if your A game is like good already, right? It's really hard to improve your best. You might get like a 1%, 2% better by like dedicating a load of time to it. But what it is easier to do is to improve your worst game, right? So if you're improving your tilt, your C game, naturally your average result will get a lot better. So, and that book is all about like how you improve your worst game, basically. And I found that really interesting, and it makes loads of sense when you think about it. So I read all these books, right? And I just take it seriously, man. I treat it like a business. I'm just going to raise here because I don't have the flush draw. Hopefully he doesn't have King 10 with the flush draw. Yeah, King 10 with the flush draw. Nice hand, buddy. You deserve to win it. You deserve to win it. I mean, I can slow play there because I'm never really getting my money in like hugely ahead. Like he either has King 10 with a flush draw, which obviously I'm doing badly against. He has like 2 pair and a flush draw, or a set and a flush draw, which I'm still obviously not in good shape against. So seeing a 10's probably better, but at the start of a match, I don't mind, you know, playing the hand more aggressively to see what they're getting all in with, getting more information. I'm leading out here with my top pair, nothing else. So yeah, I read all the books, right? I treat it like a business, man, you know. I stay a lot more disciplined than a lot of people that I know that play PLO, and I know that it's helped me. I know it's helped me. I'm gonna fold this hand. Got to fold some hands on the button, right? I reckon so. Might even fold this in the big blind too. So suddenly playing really tight. I'm going to keep an eye on this dude on the 6 max table because he was playing pretty crazy before, right? So we flop a set again. I'm just going to keep leading out into him and see like how he reacts with the leads. That's not really the best card. But we'll certainly check call here. Especially against a half pot size bet. And probably check fold on the river. I mean, you can have Jack Queen turning it into a bluff, but there's just so many combos of 8 high straight here. Yeah, it's just easy fold. No doubt. And we'll see bet with the backdoor flush draw. So playing heads up PLO, right? It's all about sussing your opponent out early. So get some free bets in there. See how he reacts to free bets. See how he reacts to donks. We're going to get some check raises in. The sooner you do these moves on them, the sooner you figure out what kind of player they are. If you're literally just playing your hand, if you're like never making any moves, never doing anything, bit worried about ace-10 here, but we have to obviously bet because we get value from an ace. Snap fold. Yeah, you have to value bet there. Go for a 3-bet. And we can start with a check here. We're not scared of too many cards. 5 isn't really an ideal card, but certainly not folding the turn. And now that we have a straight, we're probably going to check call. Okay, so now you see that situation. He bet the turn, and now I'll go back to have a look at his hand to see what hand he's stabbing with on the turn that gives up on the river. Because if I was him and I had 8 in my hand, or like a 4, maybe I'd bluff the river. Turns out he had pocket kings, so it looks like he was, I don't know, merge betting. I guess he was just betting because he thought he was ahead, which is not unreasonable to think. But it's hard to get called. It's hard to get called by much worse there. River second nuts. And now I'm just going to bet small to see how likely he is to pay me off with weaker hands. So Jack 5, pretty much middle 2 pair. Okay, against that hand, maybe I could have gone a bit bigger, but it's good to see how they react against medium strength, weak bets. To see if they're just going to snap fold every time, or they're going to start calling with a lot worse hands, or they're going to start raising. And I'm going to check back here for some deception with my second nut flush, well, excluding the straight flush. And I'm going to bet bigger on the river to see he snap calls me there, so it looks like he has a straight or a flush, right? He had the 3-7, so third nut straight, so that was quite a big bet, and he snapped me off. So it looks like he's paying off semi-light. He's just going to be falling into the category of players that probably are the most common at micro stakes PLO. He's just not aggressive enough and just cool down too often with weaker hands, right? So I'm just going to be leading on the turn with the nuts. I'm going to be betting bigger. If he has a queen, I don't think it's folding. And if he has a, let's make it a bargain price, $6.99. If he has a medium strength 2 pair, I don't expect him to fold to this bet. If he has 4 or 5, he's certainly not folding. Right, queen 6, queen 7, probably not folding. But if he just has a pair and an open ender on the turn, then obviously he folds. But that hand is not calling us anyway. I was going to go for a check raise there, but he didn't bet, so I was just going to, I guess I'll just call it a turn. I could go for a check raise on the river. We've got the ace of spades. Thing is, I don't expect him to fold a flush here, okay? He calls me with any flush, there you go. I'm just saying, I knew that was going to happen if he had a flush. Heads up, I promise you, players do not fold flushes. Even if it's the third nuts, second or third nuts on not flush on a paired board. They won't fold it. So the ace of spades doesn't really become that useful. I've found that micro stakes heads up PLO or even 6 max, right? But having the queen high and king high flush is pretty powerful, just because if they're going to call you with any flush, you can bet the queen high flush like the ace high flush, right? And you can just fold to their raise. So they 3-bet, we called with a junky hand. We have got a queen blocker. I can check and like bluff the turn, because if he does have aces, let's go for it. Not ideal here. I'm going to jam anyway in case he just has aces with spades, kings with spades. He has to fold here, putting him under a lot of pressure. I don't expect him to have king queen, queen 8 or a full house. So if he wants to call me with like aces or 7-8, then like go ahead. But I think because if we had king queen or queen 8, we won't necessarily bet that flop anyway. Or 9-10 jack a rainbow, because it's like so dry. So, but the thing is, I don't know. Micro stakes players aren't really thinking like that. They're just thinking like, oh, he didn't bet the flop, he can't have the straight. I find. And just going for a bluff on this table. I love a bluff. You got to bluff sometimes, and it doesn't work. And back on this table, we're going to bet the 9 high flush for value. Get called by the jack high flush. But I mean, he's snapping me off there. He's snap calling me. So it's not a mistake to value bet the 9 high flush there, because there's only 10 jack king ace, 10 jack king ace. But there's 4 flushes above me, right? And there's about 5 flushes below me. But if he's calling with every flush, then it's still a value bet, pretty much. I'm just going to lead here. He's not raised me once. I'm going to bet the turn with my top pair open-ender. If he raised me, it's unfortunate, but I don't know what kind of hands he'd be repping with if he raises me here. So far, he's folded to every one of my donk bets, I think. Super ABC. He just check raises pot here, so he's obviously a very transparent player. And we're going to lead here with our bottom pair and flush draw. This table we have a rather nice hand against the guy who check raised us the hand before. And go for a small value bet on the river to get called by the straight. And I believe we probably got called by the straight. Yep. Exactly what I thought. He had straight to the 9. And that's the other thing. If you know what they have, generally you're going to do well. If you know what hand they have and what bet size they're likely to pay off, it really helps in this game. But yeah, don't tilt. Exploit your opponents. Study hard, you know. And just don't take it to heart when you go through downswings, man. Because the guy yesterday that I won like 15, 20 buy-ins off in one session, he wasn't really playing that badly. Like, this guy's playing way worse than him. I mean, I still had an edge on him, right? But there's no way that I should have won 15 buy-ins in like the space of, I think it was about an hour and a half. I should have probably won 2, maybe 3 buy-ins off him in that time. But obviously I was getting really lucky there. And I wasn't even paying attention either. I was actually doing something else on my PC, and I just had the game I had the screen in the corner, the game in the corner of the screen. I'll just lead here, top pair, open ender. He's just folding to like every one of my donk bets, so I'm going to be just ramping up the aggression against him. I'm going to bet small here to entice him into calling more. He's going to bet like a third pot the whole time, pretty much, because if he has like a 10 or a straight, I want him to be calling here. Against a straight, I can obviously go bigger, but just against a naked 10, it's more likely he has 8-9 than he has like Jack 9, because you know 8-9 is the open ender. So I have to actually bet smaller to try and get called by a 10. He snap calls me off. What? He had ace high. Oh no, he didn't. He did have the straight. He had 6-9. So he did have the straight. Against that exact hand, I could have gone bigger. But it's tough to always know what they have, you know. I mean, that bet size guarantees that I get called by it, like a 10 and a straight, and maybe even just raised by a 7 if he's having enough of my aggression. This hand I might actually fold because we're not 100 big blinds anymore, and it's a weak hand obviously. So, and I'm going to open this in the small blind just to try and figure out how this guy's playing. But against on that flop, I'm just going to give up, right? And we're going to 3-bet here and go for a bit of a bigger size bet than we do have the blockers 2, 5, 6. It's whether I want to bluff here and shove the river or not. I think I'm going to do it. Well, we actually end up making the straight. So we don't need to bluff anymore. I think it's folding anyway, yeah. So we'd rather have not hit the 6 because then it just looks better when you get them to fold when you are bluffing than get them to fold when you have pretty much the nuts, right? So we have a wrap on the turn. Probably just calling, well, definitely calling here, because if we raise him and he jams, we're getting it in bad shape. We have queen high, so this is an obvious call. He's never shown any aggression yet, really, so I think very likely he has an ace or a flush draw or both. River the nuts again. Unbelievable. Flush draw is not paying me off anything. An ace might pay me, but it's mainly 2 pairs that I need to get paid from now. Ace 10, ace 7. But it looks like he has a flush draw. What did he have? 3, 6. So he bet the turn with a bottom pair, and that's it. And a gut shot, I guess. So yeah, I had a downswing and now I feel like I'm upswinging a little bit. Seems to be running a bit better. It's a shame that in this game, you know, it's not just an even line and you'd always get what you're supposed to get, because it would be a lot more manageable. But it goes in, you know, peaks and troughs. You win more than you should some days, and then you lose a hell of a lot more than you should some days. Get it all in, man. Nice hand, sir. Top pair's a good flop for you. 2 pairs a good flop for you. Turn for you. Flop for you, same thing. I mean, we still had a flush draw and a gut shot on the flop. And a 3-bet this hand. We go for a check here. We got the queen high flush draw, right? Go for a bet on the turn. It's just snap folding. I'm not going to 3-bet this one. I'm going to go for a check raise. Let's see if he actually c-bets. Of course he doesn't c-bet. Back, no, you don't backdoor. We front door the flush. Front door the flush. Hope to get called by a straight here. And I'm just going to give up this hand. Even on a turn of king, I'm probably not going to bet. Against his bet, I'd probably call because I don't think he's going to fold. I don't think he's going to fold if we hit a flush or a 4. He's probably going to pay me off. Quite a premium hand. Not a good flop. Just going to bet a third pot and then just, yeah, just snap folds. So this guy is never giving us a hard time. Very easy to play against him. And he flops top set. Nice hand. We turn trips, but that's no good against top set. Well deserved, mate, you know. Keep him in the game. Keep him in the game. And here we open c-bet flop. And the guy raises. He doesn't have a full stack. We've got the king of diamonds. No real cards that we want to see. Apart from a king, I guess. So, right, just fold here. And back to this table. Gonna go for a bluff on the river. He seems to fold even small bets sometimes, but a flush, I do not expect him to fold. So he's not even c-betting like a flush draw on the flop. He had second pair, a double gut shot, and a flush draw. And oh, he did c-bet. My apologies. My apologies. I was looking at the other table. My concentration was elsewhere. My focus was elsewhere. Something. Let's go for a tree bet. We're going to check here because we're not scared of any turn cards, right? We've got aces. It's the highest pair. There's no straight draws available there. I'm trying to, you know, get him to start cooling down a bit lighter. Because so he seems to overvalue straights and flushes. But he seems to be, he's never making any moves. He's folding to my donk bets. I think I've said that loads of times. Just going to call with a top pair. And so like he didn't even choose to bluff the river there. Like, I guess he had just nothing, unless he had a 10. Yeah, he had a 10, so I see that a lot. He had a pair, so he didn't want to bluff with it, right? But that's another telltale sign of most players that play at micro stakes PLA, right? Is that they don't like to turn medium strength. Well, that's not a medium strength hand, that's pretty weak. But they don't even like to turn any kind of made hand into a bluff. We're just going to lead the turn here. 9 high flush, not too many above us. Not too many above us. And we will call with some kind of shitty hand. And our guy just goes for a check raise. I wish I could just see his hand. I mean, I don't even need to see it because I know he has like 3-5 or like the nut flush draw with. I don't even know if he'd raise a nut flush draw. I think he has 3-5 or a set there. I don't think he even has the nut flush draw. So either has nuts or nut set, in my opinion. Ooh, he's going for the 3-bet. Crikey. Bottom pair and a gut shot. No, double gut shot, isn't it? 7 or a jack, right? No backdoor flush draw though. Ooh, peel 1. 10's not the card we want to see. But I got a feeling this guy is just 3-betting aces only. And I don't expect him to fold aces on that turn card. Most likely aces, right? Either aces or he's just giving up. Wow. Looks like he has kings. I guess he has kings. How can we fold? I just want to fold here, man. Of course he has kings. Bets the flop quite big. Check the turn, check the river. Has to have kings, man. It's just 530 to win 28. It's just, I can't ever do it. I can't ever do it in case he just has like ace 10 or something like that. Yeah, pocket sevens makes sense. Nice river. I know I'm losing there, you know. I know I'm losing there. The guy's so tight. I just want to fold, but the price is too good, man. The price is too good because we bet so big and then he jammed, right? But that's fine, you know. It's clear to see we have an edge against this guy. You know, he's just playing his hands face up. He's having a good time, bless him. We're leading here as a bluffs. I'm just playing a bit small here in case he has just the... yeah, jacks. He had 8 with a jack. Lol. Yeah, jacks as well, but turned an 8. I actually didn't need to bluff the river, to be honest. I'm only trying to get him off a queen. If he has a queen, I think he should just win. If he has a queen, I think he should just win against us, to be honest. So he just called with the blockers, right? On the flop with Jack, Jack 9. Jack, Jack 9, yeah. Oh, he didn't even... Oh, that was me at Jack, Jack 9, yeah, Jack, Jack 8. Yeah, but he still had the just the blockers, so he's just gonna call with blockers. He's literally just raising the nuts, guys. Just the nuts for him. So we're free to just like bluff him till kingdom come and see how he responds. He's just folding too much. It's nice and chilled. So yeah, let's go back to talking about things we do in poker. Downswings, time management, all that stuff, right? So I've talked about tilt breaker. Talked about trying to improve your C game, like your worst game, make your worst game better, you know, not your A game better. What else? Time of day. I'm not going to bluff here because you can have backdoor flushes. Yeah, like the time of day you play. Obviously, weekends are going to be better, right? I mean, it's just that's just obvious. Like, you know, weekend time, Friday, Saturday nights, etc. I'm just going to raise here because the hand's too weak just to like call with a 4 high flush draw out of position. So I'm just going to raise him. Yeah, so time of day. Obviously, as well, is like the time you spend studying, and if you study at all, right? Wow, we get to play a big one. Here we go. Aces against aces. I need all your focus, all your energy here. Let's do it. Come on. 6. 6. That's not good. 6. He had a... I didn't like that he had the deuce as an out there. We were free rolling on the flop. Well, yeah, as it stood. Free rolling on the flop. But then he actually gained more outs than us on the turn. I mean, I know he's got aces, right? What happened there? So I raised. He raised. I 3-bet. He 4-bet. Yeah, I could actually just flat call there and hope to like, because the flop comes like 8-8-5. There's a chance that he might just fold on that flop. But if the flop comes, you know, I'm sure he's got aces there, right? So I should have actually thought about it a little bit more because I think I can get him to fold on a lot of runouts. I'm going to bet on the bigger side here, my full house, and obviously fold to his raise because it only raises the nuts. But yeah, it's an advanced play, but I'm absolutely confident he's only 4-betting aces, right? So occasionally we'll do that and then we'll, you know, we might stack off incorrectly. on a board where, you know, his other two side cards do really well. But by that point, there's not going to be much in there, you know. If the flop comes like 5, 6, 7, well, I had 6s, but okay. If the flop comes like 7, 8, 9, and he checks to me, like I can just bomb it. And I think I'm going to get a lot of fold equity. So I should have thought about that situation a little bit more, but can't be faulted for getting all in with ace, ace, 6, 6, obviously. That's the standard approach. So yeah, going back to studying. Things I do to study or give myself the best chance of winning, right? I'm going to check here because I don't think he's always just going to bet the turn. I'm going to fold, I think. Yeah, I'm just going to fold, right? Bottom pair, weak flush draw. So the things that I do is, obviously I have Hold'em Manager, right? But, you know, I don't just use it for the stats. I configure my HUD, I figure out what the stats mean. After I have bad sessions, I review the sessions that I played, right? To see where I went wrong. Not even just straight afterwards, because sometimes, like, you have a bad session and you just, you know, a bit annoyed. So the next day before I play, if I had a bad session the day before, I'll just go through my Hold'em Manager, look at the big pots I played, look at even the medium pots I played to see like if I was bluffing too much, stuff like that. Get some more notes on my opponents, because I'm always taking notes on people, basically. And so I'll look at their tendencies, play around with the filters, and bet turn here. Top pair, open ender, and king eye flush draw. I'm actually just going to fold against his raise. He's just only raising the nuts, you know. I could have checked that turn back, but that's fine. And I'm going to peel with the bottom pair for sure. Just hoping to turn like a club or something. I'm going to go for a bluff here. Got a gut shot. Sort of, nah, not a good river card to bluff. Sometimes you just got to give up on your bluffs. So he c-bet with no equity, which was unexpected. I thought the guy was uber tight. But yeah, that's a bad river to bluff. Like, you got to give up on your dreams sometimes, you know. So yeah, go through a Hold'em Manager and review yesterday's session. Make a lot of notes on opponents, man. A lot of notes. How I'm going to exploit them next time I play with them. So I'm always using Hold'em Manager. I use a tilt breaker, obviously. I use the Poker Juice. So Poker Juice is a monthly subscription thing. I'm going to raise here. I've got 2 backdoor flush draws. And I just want to see how he reacts. It's quite a big raise. I should have made it 370, not 470. It's too big, but so when my backdoor flush draws comes in, I'm gonna bet again, and if he raises, then I will have to fold. We mirror the flush. It's the worst flush possible, so we can't go for value. I'd expect him to have folded his over pairs on the turn, really. So I think he has a 7 a lot of the time, 8, 9 some of the time, and a jack. Does he have many full houses here? Unless it's 7, 10. I don't think he has many full houses. Straight flush will do it. So yeah, he did have the 8, 9. He did have the 8, 9, but then he rivered the flush. And on this table, we flop a wrap and a flush draw. Ah, my tilt breaker set in. Oh no, in the middle of a hand and I can't even play it. Guys, I have to fold this hand because I'm not going to be able to play it. Look at that. That is the bad thing about the tilt breaker. I had it set to 3 buy-ins. I need to increase the time of when yeah, the time to sit out. But the thing is, I used to have the tilt breaker sit, so when I lost and I'm kicking out of the game, I would have like 5 minutes to finish my hands, and I found that I would just like get all in all the time in that space of time. I would just like jam all my hands because I just knew I needed 5 minutes left, and I was like on tilt or something. So that's why I had it set to 30 seconds, but I was already in that hand when the tilt breaker thing set in. So I just had to say goodbye to the pot there, but that's fine. So ended up not doing too well against that dude. Probably some unnecessary bluffs in big pots, to be honest, right? We didn't necessarily need to be doing all that stuff, right? But you gotta make some moves sometimes. It's okay. But yeah, anyway, 46-minute video. I think that's alright. I'll keep that one. Perhaps too FPS-y there. I mean, we raised the flop just as a bluff, but we raised too much. And then on the turn, he can have some straights, which is what he had, but he had the flush draw with it. Even though we blocked the flush draw, so. Yeah, not a terrible play. Got to do it sometimes, but against people that weak, you don't really need to be doing stuff like that. You can just literally play simply, right? So maybe next time I'll try and play a bit better in that situation, but that's life. You know, sometimes you just want to make moves for the sake of the video. I just feel like what I do sometimes, but that's okay, you know. I mean, we lost less than a buy-in in the end, I think. So it's reasonable, certainly reasonable. Oh, we lost a buy-in and a half, I think. Right, so tune in next time, guys. It's been an honour, and thank you for watching this video by PLA Warrior. Thank you very much.